that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again for another episode of Skip the Rules, and today we're skipping the rules for Trouble on the Moon from Hasbro Gaming. This is for 2 to 4 players, age is 5+, and right now we have a 3-player version of the game set up. When you first start the game, each player is going to get their 4 colored astronauts, and they're going to place them onto their matching spots. 3 of your astronauts will go in these circles, which is called the holding area. Then 1 will go on the start space, which says start on it right there. You'll also notice you have 1 more blue space. This is just the spot that's going to eventually allow you to get into your airlock, and if you get all 4 of your astronauts into your airlock, you will win the game. Next, you will set aside this oxygen. Just set it to the side. Place your Pop-O-Matic in the middle, and the youngest player will go first. So on your turn, it's really simple. You're going to press the die roller, and you're going to do whatever it says. Now, there's 2 dice in here. The first one is numbers 1 through 6. This is going to allow you to move an astronaut from your holding area, aka down here, to your start space, or it's going to allow you to move one of your astronauts that's already out of the holding area that many number of spaces. So I'll give you an example. For this 5, for instance, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if this was the scenario, I could go boom. Now, if you happen to land on another astronaut, so let's say I move 4 and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, they get sent all the way back to their holding area. But that's only if you land exactly on top of them. So let's say I did go 5 and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't land right on their head, which means they stay right there. And if they get a 1, then they'll be able to knock me back to my holding area. Also, if your only move is going to have you land on yourself, then you can't take the move and you actually just lose your turn. So let's pretend in this scenario I were to get a 4 on here. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, which would land on me, or I could go to my start space, but my start space is already filled by this person right here. So my turn would actually just be over with that die, at least, if I roll the 4. Now, the last rule to remember about the large die is that if someone is in your start space and you happen to roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, then you actually don't land on top of them, but you jump over them 1 space and you start right there. However, if you happen to get a 1, then wah, you don't do anything. However, if you roll a 1, you actually cannot move out while your start space is occupied. And be sure to remember, this jumping over them and skipping that 1 spot is only if it's an opponent on your start space, not yourself. Now, if you get the oh-so-delicious 6, which we can see right there, you do something slightly different, which means you're going to move any one of your astronauts forward 6 spaces, including one that's in your holding area. Also, if you choose to move an astronaut from the holding area and another player's astronaut is in your start space, you can send that astronaut packing and send them back to their area in addition to moving the 6 spaces, 4, 5, 6. So that would be a really spectacular turn for me right there. The other amazing thing about rolling a 6, though, is once you've moved, you actually get to roll again. And so you can have numerous turns potentially strung together if you keep rolling 6s. But we've covered the large die. Let's get to the small die. So the small die is interesting. It has 6 sides to it, and half of them are going to be blank. When you roll a blank die, nothing additional happens. You just focus on your large number. However, if you roll one of the symbols, something different is going to happen. So the one we have right here is called the low fuel alert. And it's actually going to make you ignore your number die so you won't be moving. But all other players can place an astronaut onto their start space. So extra bad for you and extra good for your opponents. If a player already has one of their people on a start space, then they cannot move and they just stay where they are. The next symbol you'll run into right here is the rover. This one is going to allow you to switch any player's astronaut with one of your own. So for instance, if blue were to get the rover, then they could do this right here. The one downside to the rover is that you ignore the large die when you do this. So in this example, I would not get another turn because I did the rover special ability. So it's either I would do the 6 or I would do the rover. And last we have the green symbol, which is going to represent the oxygen tank. So let's say the red player got this right here. They would get to move their 1 space, but they would also gain this oxygen tank right there. And as long as you have the oxygen tank, you don't lose your turn when you roll the fuel, aka the red symbol. Also note that if you do roll the red fuel symbol, the other players still get to move on to their start space as per normal. You hold on to the oxygen tank until someone else has rolled the green symbol, at which point they will then steal it from you. The last thing to tell you about are these purple space tethers. So your astronaut can move around the moon more quickly by using the space tethers. If your astronaut happens to land by exact count on a spot, they can move directly to the next space dock. So for instance, if this green one got a 1, they would then be allowed to go right there. Now, if they had gotten a 2, they would go 1, 2, because you have to land precisely on that spot. If another player's astronaut is already on that spot when you do it, so let's say this happens, then you knock them back to their holding area like so. Also, if you happen to land on that spot, so let's say the red had a 3, they would go 1, 2, 3. You guessed it, this gets knocked back to here, and then they still get to slide to the next tether. Now, if another player, so let's say that the green was on this space dock right here, happened to swap you because the rover and did say this, you would not get to slide all the way to here. However, the green would still slide to there. And no, you cannot tether straight into your airlock. You have to walk the old-fashioned way. But you're going to continue to take turns one at a time, just popping the Pop-O-Matic, going around in a circle until eventually someone is able to get all 4 of their characters into their airlock. Now, to get into your airlock, you do not have to have exact count. You just roll. So let's say green rolls a 5. They go 1, 2, 3, and boom, they are into the airlock. And their character cannot be messed with in any way, shape, or form. Whoever's the first person to get all 4 of their characters in the airlock will be the winner of Pop-O-Matic Trouble on the Moon. And hopefully I helped you skip the rules. If you enjoyed what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. And as always, go have some fun!